Hey guys, Foxdrop here. Today I want to talk about why I feel like Cinderhulk junglers are going to be the new OP junglers for solo queue specifically. This video is going to be a bit of an opinion piece. There are going to be stats chucked in there as well, but ultimately I do want this to lean more towards the subjective side of things than anything else. So feel free to disagree with me with my conclusions for this video. Because at the end of the day, I could be just completely wrong. It would not be the first time that's happened. So feel free to take things with a pinch of salt. Which should not be a problem at all if you watch my stream. You are well accustomed to large amounts of salt there. Let's kick things off with taking a look at the highest win rate junglers. You'll see in the top 5, they are all Cinderhulk junglers. In fact, in the top 10, only 2 of these junglers do not build Cinderhulk. Of course, win rates are by no means the only metric from which you can measure a champion's strength. However, it does paint a fairly clear picture still. Alternatively though, if we take a look at the most picked champions in the jungle right now, only 1 of them in the top 5 is a Cinderhulk jungler, and 3 in the top 10. These 2 stats combined would suggest that Cinderhulk junglers are actually a lot stronger than people think. They're pretty underrated right now. You could disagree with that conclusion to various degrees. However, I think generally speaking, it's a fair statement to make. So now that we've established that Cinderhulk junglers are a little bit stronger than most people give them credit for, just where exactly did these guys come from? How did they find their sudden strength? Well, actually, it wasn't really sudden at all. It's really been like a bunch of small changes leading up to this moment. It arguably all started in patch 7.9 when Zac, Sejuani and Maokai received their reworks. Not only did this patch introduce 3 solid tank junglers, but they also changed some items which are being seen a lot more today. Warmogs received a little bit of love and Stoneplate made its debut on the Rift. The patch after that, Graves, Lee Sin and Ivern all got nerfed, plus Rammus received his mini rework which makes him a lot stronger for solo queue now. In 7.12, Locket was changed to make it scale with health, which is much better for Cinderhulk junglers. And on top of that, Righteous Glory and Knight's Vow were changed ever so slightly to make them more viable choices as well. In the next patch, Barmy Cinder and Cinderhulk both got pretty decent buffs. And in the patch after that, which was the last patch, patch 7.14, Thormail is now a big player too. When you add all of these things up on top of each other, it's no real surprise to see why tanks are coming through in the meta. And I know I'm doing this video from the standpoint of solo queue, but even in pro play, a lot more tank junglers are seeing the light of day compared to other types of junglers. For example, in week 6 of the NALCS, out of 9 different junglers played, only 3 of those weren't Cinderhulk junglers. 1 of them was only picked once, which was Graves. Another one was only picked twice, which was Nidalee by Mike Young, and that's just Mike Young's pocket pick. And the other one is Elise, who is, well, Elise. So as we can see, Cinderhulk junglers are definitely on the rise. If we take a look at the item builds of some of these Cinderhulk junglers and we see what the most common and best builds are for them, you're seeing a lot of these items that are the new items that have been changed in the past few patches. And I think that goes to show that it's the item builds that are specifically the strong points of Cinderhulk junglers, not necessarily the champions themselves. However, I think currently right now there's a little bit of a mix because especially with Cho'Gath, man, that geezer just needs to be nerfed into the ground, I have to say it. Like that is just, I mean, what were they thinking with that? I honestly don't even know. In addition to this, I feel like Cinderhulk junglers are good for solo queue specifically because these are the kind of champions that are really easy to play, which means you can have more consistent performances on them. Most of these champions as well also don't have any specific pressure on them to perform in the early game and are usually pretty good as the game goes on. This means that if you don't have a good start to the game, it's not the end of the world. It also means that you're not on any specific kind of like timer where you have to do things else you're just going to fall off and become useless. Like take a look at Elise here, for example, one of the strongest solo queue junglers for a long time, but I would still struggle to recommend her to people because you have to do stuff in the early game, else it's just not going to work. And compare that to some of the strongest junglers on this patch, Cho'Gath and Nunu, and look at them. I mean, they don't have to do anything early. They can chill out, they can suck early on, and they'll still be fine. Even the non-Cinderhulk junglers who aren't so bad in the late game, who don't necessarily fall off, in my opinion, they're a lot harder to execute. So people like Graves, Lee Sin, or Kha'Zix. I think if you're going to compare those champions to someone like Sejuani or Gragas, I think we know which one's easier to play late game. That's basically the bulk of what I want to say for this video, but I do want to add in as a little side note. Rift Herald. Finally, this is an objective that tank junglers can threaten and pressure. When you got things like Dragon or Towers, those always go in the favor of the damage champions because tank junglers just, you know, they don't really offer anything into those objectives. But with the mechanics of the Rift Herald, you don't actually need damage. Really, you just hit the eye and anyone can do that. Also, what's worth pointing out here is lethality and Dustblade. They got buffed this patch as well, so you might see a few of those popping up in the meta too, some champions building those while that's busted. So that is something that could challenge my argument of Cinderhulk junglers being the upcoming thing. But anyway, that's all I want to say for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Cheeky thumbs up if you did, and you can subscribe to me for more League of Legends content. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a great day. Appreciate you checking the video out, and I will see you in my next video.